messy, some got OCD, some are narcissistic. It's all about me. All our friends are quirky. All our friends are quirky.
Oh, that's right. All our friends are quirky. Oh my gosh. You know, the Blues Cruise was great. I'm going to tell you what, it was great. It takes, but I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you, I was actually looking forward to kind of a quiet week. You know, we've had the Blues Cruise, we've had primaries, we've had all this stuff going on. And so I thought, well, this week will just be a little break. Little did I know. Well, I did know. At approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, when I was still up and moving here on a Saturday night, and before I went to bed, I checked the news and saw Senator Lindsey Graham had died. I'm going to tell you what. People are always saying, hey, I'm Ann Eller. I got a picture of Penny up there. Well, what? She's not saying anything. But I'm Ann Eller, and I am here with you this morning to discuss several different issues. But the big issue, of course, is... Let me get comfortable here. The big issue here, of course, is the death of Senator Lindsey Graham. What a shock. What a surprise. Nothing else that you can say. And what is ensuing now, I think, becomes even more interesting. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. That's one of my big topics for today is... no rest for the weary. That's the topic, I think. Saturday night, even Thursday. Did I go up there Thursday? I think I went up for a little bit Thursday night. But what a great event. Festival of Discovery. Got to meet some of the artists that I had not met before, who we interviewed right here on WCRS. Had some great interviews over the week leading up to it. And it was just great to see them, and they were also gracious to see me and this type of thing. It was a lot of fun. So a lot of people that I don't usually get to see. Some people I only see every couple of years, and then it's like, oh, how you doing? Yeah. So, but the amount of people that I saw, particularly upstairs at Local Focal, who, by the way, did an amazing job on keeping it rolling. Their live stream, I checked it several times just to see what was going on, was constantly pushing out that music. So if you did miss some of it, I'm pretty sure on Local Focal you'd be able to go back and watch it. I have a lot of videos to put up, by the way. But to get back to my topic, at Local Focal, I have come to the conclusion. I thought I knew a lot of people. I really do think I know a lot of people. However, when I'm uptown going to Local Focal and some of the places, now, if it's some of the old blues artists, yeah, I fit right in, and I always know some of the people there. Local Focal, I gotta say, there's a whole nother culture out there that I am not, I am not part of. And I don't know hardly any of the people. And any of the people that I actually do know who are there, right? They're probably saying the same thing. I don't know any of these people. I like the artist up there, but I don't know many of the people there. So, and then somebody said, well, Ann, they say about 50,000 people come. Well, people do, and there's all during the day, in the afternoon, in the evening, so, you've got them there throughout the whole day, and that's true. But I also think there's a huge swath of the population that I do not know, and maybe I should get to know them better. So I just wanted to say that. It kind of shocked me as I'm standing there watching the band, watching around, looking at the people. I was like, I don't know any of these people. All right. Anyways, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. A few musings about the Festival of Discovery and Blues Cruise. And you never know who you're going to meet. Who you're going to meet. Do you know? I met a cartoonist who lives here in Greenwood, who is quite successful, who actually has arthritis, and it is difficult for him to write, but he still does something over the top because he wants to succeed and he wants to do. And I think that is tremendous. It's not he has a disability and can't do. He has a disability and he does do. And that's what I find so fascinating, and how terrific is that. Just like Liz Pennock, did I say that right? Liz Pennock of Liz Pennock and Dr. Blues that were here on the radio, and I happened to have been reading her bio. And it said she had 3 fingers, so I'm thinking she had an accident. Maybe she had 3 fingers on one hand. Come to find out, she was born with 3 fingers on both hands, and she plays boogie-woogie piano and plays it very well. I went by to see them Saturday night at the Blues Cruise. They were at the Inn on the Square, and I tell you what 2 talents were there. But Liz being able to play a full-size keyboard and the harmonica at the same time, that takes, whether you have 10 fingers or not, that takes talent. She has a total of 3 and 3, 6. She has 6 fingers, right? And she did an amazing job. So I think sometimes we don't give ourselves, and people don't give themselves enough credit as being able to overcome. When I was talking to her, one of the things that I found so interesting was the fact that she said all the children in her family took piano lessons except for her. And when she got of the age that she should have been taking piano lessons, her family just said, "Oh, you can't do that." So they didn't even give her piano lessons or give her the opportunity. I think she wasn't given the opportunity. And one day when one of the children wasn't practicing and she'd been watching, she actually sat down at that piano and started trying to play the notes as a child. And she succeeded. And before long, she was capable of doing what she did. It's amazing. And now she sits there, and a grown woman has traveled. I don't know if she's traveled the world, but I know she's been to Europe, and here in the United States, she's played with Pinetop Perkins. She's played with all these people, and she has 3 fingers on each hand. And yet, I talked to somebody, and they were talking about, yeah, we were just over there, we heard her, blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you know she only has 3 fingers on each hand, 6 fingers? They said, no, we never noticed. Isn't that the greatest compliment ever? No, we never noticed. And so I think there are people out there every day overcoming things that people would say that's not possible. Who would think that a person with only 6 fingers could play boogie-woogie piano, play the harmonica? Oh, and by the way, she does play the trombone, although she didn't pull that out and play that on Saturday night because they didn't bring it with them. But that's the type of thing that is happening in this world, and sometimes we don't give credence to the fact to somebody that may have crippling problems, and yet they still succeed. You know, what's her name? Ashley, is it Boyd? Ashley, who is a Special Olympics big star, just came back from out in the Midwest. And she won, I don't have the information in front of me, but she won 3 or 4 gold medals from the Special Olympics. I mean, and she does very, very well. I remember a few years ago, because I always wanted to interview her and I never had, and I have talked to her since then. But the year she went as, was it bocce ball? But she's won at horse riding. She's won at all these different things through Special Olympics. And that's why my heart always goes out to people who can do. And sometimes the people that have the most everything that they can do with sit down and don't do. So I think it's time we all start doing. What do you say? Anyways, I'm Ann Eller right here this morning. Just a little aside to all the great food, all the great music, all the fun. Thanks for the memories. That's right. Thanks for doing the things and thanks for the interviews that I am allowed to gather right here because of WCRS radio. Stephanie said, I think a lot of people know you. I think you're right, Stephanie. You know how many people? Well, you remember me. I was like, yeah. Or I know who you are. And I'm like, okay. And who are you? You are absolutely right. I'll go off my little direction here. One of the first times I was most surprised in my life to be in a grocery store or Kmart, not Kmart, it was a Walmart or something like that. And I was talking to the cashier and somebody behind says, I know that voice. That was a long time ago, and I had to get used to the fact, or try not to say anything, if I didn't want to be recognized. And you always get recognized when you look your worst, right? I mean, you're always like, I just ran out here to do something real quick. Anyways, that's a little story about that. So, here it is. It's Monday morning, the day after Lindsey Graham, 71 years, and had just celebrated his 71st birthday, died. What a shockwave that has sent through the world. There is no question about the effect that Senator Graham had on everything. And yet, South Carolina residents always railed against him. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I have had the pleasure when he was running for president to actually be in his office. He actually was getting ready to announce that he was running for office. And I was sitting there in his huge office. And I mean, I've been in representative's office, senator's office, most of them. I mean, by the time you get to a senator, I'll just say this, you do get, or if you're a new senator, I guess you might not get a big one, but senators do have bigger offices. I've been in House of Representatives offices that if you turned around, you bumped into somebody. That's how tight it would be. Senator Graham, because of his longevity, I think he went to the Senate, what was it, in 2003, or was it 2003, I believe is right. Had a hallway. His office, huge office. I think he must have had several. He had a big waiting room, but he had a huge office. It would have been like whatever I say, somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong, but I'm going to say 30 foot by 20 something. It was huge. And of course, he had all his memorabilia, all the things that he had received. I think I even talked to him in that interview about some of the cool things that he had. I actually got to interview him twice, maybe 3 times, I think 3 times up in his office. And the one time we were sitting on his sofa, and we actually recorded that with video, I do believe. It should be out there on YouTube somewhere. Anyways, we sat there, and I asked him if he was going to run for president, because everybody was asking him if he was going to run for president. I didn't ask him any of that. I got to the end, and I said, I got to ask. And I said, are you going to run for president? And he goes, Ann, I'm going to give you a scoop. I am going to run for president. I could have fallen off the floor, but of course I had to say, well, thank you very much, Lindsay. Now, later in that day, he did make the big announcement. So my little announcement, but I was very proud. And the thing about Lindsey Graham was he was always very gracious. He was very gracious. But over the years, Lindsey has not always, maybe from the people's perspective of South Carolina, been as, what should we say, supportive, but then supportive of South Carolina. But then you hear people, Nancy Mace yesterday, talking about how Lindsey Graham, if they needed something down on the coast, he was the first to be right there to get it. And then you hear people talking about some of the bigger things, and those that veterans or people that had issues that House of Representatives could not solve, they could take it to Lindsey Graham and his staff. Not necessarily Lindsey Graham, but his staff would take care of it. So although we railed about Lindsey Graham and people talked about, oh, Lindsey Graham has got to be replaced, the bottom line about Lindsey Graham was he was a powerful senator. And I always thought I would rather have a powerful senator from the great state of South Carolina than to have a senator that got lost in the fray because he had no power. And when you start seeing the things that Lindsey Graham was involved in and the things that are going to be put on hold, have to find somebody else to do it, this type of thing, you really see how involved President Trump was. I mean, I have an article here that tells about all the things that he was doing just coming up this week. So I think it's just so amazing that he was from South Carolina, actually from Central South Carolina. And every issue, whether it's the Budget Committee, the Judicial Committee, I saw where he was supposed to be over the race for the car race that was going to come up through Washington, D.C., the Indy cars that are coming there. He was over that. I was reading the article. I was like, my goodness. And then, of course, he just had gotten back from the Ukraine and thought that he had, quote, worked out a deal. He was a confidant to Donald Trump. Donald Trump thinks he may have been the last telephone call that he made. They don't know that, but he may have been the last telephone call because it was late Saturday night. But it is interesting to see how many people and how that he affected and how many people and how many events he was involved in. And the thing that was most endearing about Senator Graham was his sense of humor. And I will agree with that. He could come up with a quip just to put somebody off or put somebody at ease. It never really mattered. I can remember being at an event with him when I think he was running, this is when he was running for the presidential office. You remember when Donald Trump gave out his telephone number and he figured out all the ways to destroy your phone so you wouldn't get telephone calls? And then one time he was at a meeting, this is what I was going to tell you, he was at a meeting of Republicans talking. I think he was up for re-election at that point, and his phone rang. And he pulled it out of his pocket and said, "Yes, Mr. President, I'll have to talk to you later." You know, just fun stuff like that. And he always could make things put people at ease. And that unto itself is an art. So that's, I just wanted to bring that up. Those are some of my memories about Senator Graham. I can remember walking down Main Street with him doing an interview. I was blessed. I was blessed to meet some of these people. Of course, this was earlier on in his career, and things changed, and I changed, and this type of thing. And if you're not constantly beating the doors down to some of these people, you don't just ever get to talk to them on a regular basis. But any interview I ever had with Senator Graham, they were always very gracious. Senator Graham was a powerhouse. I think the effects of what he did for our state and what he did for our country will probably for a long time be being unveiled. Now, all flags are supposed to be flown at half-staff. I don't know what the funeral arrangements are unless they've just been put out in just a few minutes ago. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure he will lay in state in Washington. He may lay in state here in South Carolina. But I found it very interesting that by, I don't know, I think he died 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock, somewhere in there. They put the announcement out somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll say. By 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, people are already speculating who will replace him. I just found that amazing. Amazing. I equally found it amazing the number of people who said, well, I'm not really interested. I'm not really interested, but if they call, I'll take on the mantle. So this is what we're going to deal with for the next few days, and of course that decision to appoint lies with Governor McMaster. Now, a lot of people are speculating how things are going to go, how this lays out. Well, I believe that I know the correct order that this is going to happen. Number one, somebody will be appointed to be really a placeholder for our state for the Senator Graham's office. Now, it can be anybody. The Governor McMaster can appoint anybody. Some people have suggested that he should appoint himself. The governor should appoint himself, which is, to me, an interesting idea. That way, and not run for the office, just be there and fill the unexpired term of Lindsey Graham. So that means from now through January 3rd, 2027, that person would be in office. That way, whoever that person is would be able to say, I was the senator. So I'm going to just go through this one. If Henry McMaster decided to appoint himself, he of course would have to give up the governorship, which then means that Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett would be able to ascend to be the governor for 6 months, and she will have accomplished her mission of being the governor. Now, I am being a little facetious here. She could be the governor, Henry could be a senator, and boom. And then, of course, Alan Wilson or Jermaine Johnson, whoever wins the election in November, would then become the governor of the state. However, that's not the end of this, because starts the 21st of July through, I should look it up, the 28th, I think it's 1 week, people that want to run for the office of Lindsey Graham's seat will have that opportunity, because we are having a primary. This primary, I think, will just be a very short primary. August 11th, I believe, was the date. Am I right on that? I meant to look this back up. But anyways, August 11th or thereabouts would be the election, primary election of whoever is running. And I expect it's going to be, yes, a very packed field. And then if there needs to be a runoff, the runoff would be on the 25th, So, while we thought we were finished with elections here for a little bit? No, we're not. So will be the state. I imagine there will be a huge, and I mean a huge field of people. Who do you think should be the person that should run for office? Well, two questions. One, who do you think the governor should appoint for the unexpired term of Lindsey Graham, which would go now through January 3rd? Who do you think should be that person? That person would step into an office, I believe, with a staff that is already knows what's going on. It would not be a start from scratch. They would have to come up to speed. But changes are going to be made as far as committee assignments and whatnot. But I don't know what they would actually step into. But, of course, they would be voting. The other thing is whoever this person is would have to have the blessing of Donald Trump. So that kind of may narrow the field some. But I think it'd be interesting to think about who should be appointed. Also, that person that is appointed can also run for the office. They do not have to run for office, but they could run for office. So it's a very interesting show that are interesting times that we are going to be living at. So if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them this morning. 864-332-9355. You can call or text and or you can just make a message right here on WCRS Facebook Live, because we are live on Facebook. I am alive. Now, how about Penny? Is she alive? Nope. She's just snoozing. She goes, more politics. I don't like politics. Anyways, that's the story right now. Nancy Mace supposedly sent a text to Governor McMaster and told him he should appoint himself. Every candidate that had run for governor, I think, is reevaluating their position and do they want to run. So that means, is Nancy Mace going to run for the office now? What did she say? She was concentrated on blah, 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 but she never closes a door. There you go. So that left the door open to that. Ralph Norman, that's another pick. Any of these people, somebody goes, well, any of those people could fill the unexpired term. But the problem is, number one, the problem is anybody who's already in Congress, the House of Representatives, cannot really give up their seat or would do so at peril of Donald Trump, because their margins are so small in the House. So nobody could fill the unexpired term. Now, somebody could, Ralph Norman has already given up his seat. He's just filling out his term. He could. Nancy Mace could, because she's filling out her, and then she will be out of office. Joe Wilson has thrown his hat in to remain in the House of Representatives, and I think he has indicated that he wanted to stay here. Some people have put out that Nikki Haley would be a good choice to fill the unexpired term. I think she would, but I don't think that's going to happen because of her and Trump's relationship. Now, years ago, when she was the ambassador under Trump's first administration, I did think when they were talking about who can take Lindsey Graham out and all the discussions, I said the only person that I know that could have was Nikki Haley. However, she did not grab that brass ring, nor did she go for that. She decided to go up against him as a presidential candidate in the last primary. So that is, I would say that boat has sailed. So that would be a total shocker to me on that. However, one name keeps coming up over and over and over again out there, Trey Gowdy. You know, Trey Gowdy was in the House of Representatives. He knew Lindsey Graham well. He has his TV show on Fox and is a contributor on Fox. He writes books. Actually, he just defended Chuck Wright, the sheriff up there in Spartanburg, who did not go very well, but he still was the defender. He is a big lawyer here in South Carolina, and some people have said some rather uncomplimentary things. I say this, if I really needed a really, really, really good lawyer, I think Trey Gowdy, who was a prosecutor and then became a lawyer, that, yeah, I would consider trying to get Trey Gowdy to be my attorney. So those are some of the people that are featured. Let's look at some of the comments here. Let's see. The big takeaway, Stephanie said from this, if people are not meant to travel the way he traveled, 12 hours by train, 12 hours by train, 12 hours by plane, the difference is the pressure on your arteries. This is supposed to say that people are not meant to travel. Oh, he did. He was in Ukraine, and he traveled by plane, by air, and long, long trips. That's true. All right, so let's move on and let's get back to the issue here. Who do you think would be great to be a replacement? This is a huge, and I mean a huge opportunity. Mark Lynch, who ran against Lindsey Graham and lost mightily, says he should be considered to be the replacement candidate because he did run against him. Well, I don't think that's exactly true. Anybody will be able to put their name in the hat. And then, of course, there's the Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett. She did not do very well. She did not do very well in the primaries. So, I mean, I wonder, do you think that she would run? That is the question. That is the question. So, let me know what you're thinking. 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355, and let's talk about some other topics here right now. 864-332-9355. If you've got an opinion about who do you think should replace Lindsey Graham? You know, this was so unexpected that the opportunity, and I know people are huddling all over the state trying to figure out who the Republicans, who they want to be their candidate, who they think will be their candidate. And then, of course, there's all the candidates that are saying, do we have any money we can put forth for this campaign? Because it's going to be a lot of money in a very, very, very short period of time. But Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, the one thing that we can always say, oh, I also heard, I forgot to tell you this, that even his sister is considering whether she wants to fill the unexpired term of her brother, Lindsey. And things like this have happened in the past. That's why I'm saying it's a placeholder role. You don't have to run. You could run, but you don't have to run. But this is going to be the most interesting time to be watching what's happening. I think it's going to be very interesting in the Senate to see how they are able to operate. Of course, there will be people stepping in to step up and replace. But there are special people in this world who have the ability to bring people together. And there are times where, as I've always said, Lindsey Graham sometimes just lived such a blessed life, he was able to pull things together. Do you remember when, not this election that was his primary election, but when he was running against Harrison for the, who was the Democrat, and that, Jamie Harrison, that election was huge in dollars spent at that time. I think it was the election where most money was spent. And Lindsey Graham was actually fighting pretty hard for his seat. The Democrats were pouring lots of money into this race. And then there was the Kavanaugh confirmation for Supreme Court judge. And Lindsey Graham had that admonished everybody and made his great statement. And all of a sudden, we in South Carolina were so proud that Lindsey Graham was our senator. And that really was the turning point in his being able to pull off the election. That and a lot of money, which I am very proud to say that WCRS got a good amount of that money. So, he was amazing to be able to pinpoint how to do things. His hands were in so many parts of the Senate, and whether it was working overseas, whether it was on the budget, whether it was working on the reconciliation, he was able to reach across the aisle and try to make things happen, and did make things happen. So it's a great loss, not only for South Carolina, although some will consider it a great opportunity, and it is a great opportunity. It will be a long time before somebody will be able to fill the shoes of Lindsey Graham. It'll be different. It'll be, it's a very big loss of power for South Carolina. And of course, for all his friends and family, it is a huge loss. I have always said, to me, and having been through several deaths in my lifetime, that I think a sudden death is so much harder to deal with. I would not want anybody to suffer. But at least if you know somebody is coming to the end of their road, you have an opportunity to prepare yourself. And part of what makes this so difficult is that we had no preparation. We didn't know there was anything wrong. We didn't know that he could die today, tomorrow, whenever. He just died. For him, I know a lot of old people, this is what they say. Lucky guy, we'll just say that. Lucky guy, you know. But for the people that are left behind, it's very, very, very hard. And so, personally, I don't want anybody to suffer, but I'd rather have a little warning and be able to say the things I want to be able to say and to get it in my brain that this is coming. So my heart goes out to his sister Darlene, other family members and people that he was close to. He had a lot of friends that he was very, very close to. And I know President Trump is hurting very badly because he counted on Lindsey and they were friends. And so I know it's very, very hard on him. So I'm Ann Eller right here with you this morning. I think we should play a couple of commercials. And when I come back, I got a couple other things I want to talk about here this morning. And I will remember what it is I want to talk about this morning. This is WCRS Radio. Take it away. We are the home of the free because of the brave. It is our annual Veterans Appreciation Day celebration to say thank you for your service to our country. When? Thursday, July 16th. 11 to 2 at the Greenwood County Veterans Affairs Office. Light lunch, prizes, and many businesses to say thank you. Are you a business that serves veterans? Then call 864-450-9268. That's 864-450-9268 to participate. Veterans, be there Thursday, July 16th, 11 to 2, and let us say thank you. The road to the revolution in the upstate. See how our county survived and thrived during revolutionary times. Excellent opportunity to see history up close at the Greenwood Museum. Many children activities, lectures, and even a kids' day at the Greenwood Museum. Stop in Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. Experience an ever-changing exhibit at the Greenwood Museum. Remember, the Greenwood Museum, dedicated to sharing, saving, and celebrating Greenwood history. Brought to you by the museum and the Greenwood County 250 Coalition. The new DQ Blizzard Cup lineup. Choose your player. The new Biscoff Cookie Blizzard Treat. Biscoff cookie pieces for crunchy crossovers. The new Mexican-style hot chocolate Blizzard Treat. Fudge-coated mini marshmallows for the score. And the new Strawberry Mango Mochi Blizzard Treat. Chewy mochi for the sweetest saves. Come score your World Cup Blizzard only at DQ 72 Bypass Greenwood. Oh, that's right. We are right back here at WCRS because we can remember stuff, right? We remember stuff. And sometimes we don't remember stuff. Anyways, as we wind up this show here, you know, I think the festival was ultimately good success. I really thought that Gary, of course, getting the Order of the Palmetto was a huge, huge award for him and for our state. There are very few people who are able to procure the Order of the Palmetto, but it is a huge honor and so well deserved. After all, he travels not only our state, bringing great acts right here to South Carolina, but he also takes the blues overseas and does a lot of work overseas, keeping the blues alive. So I want to congratulate him on a great lineup of artists. Alabama Mike, oh my God, you should have seen him. What was that, Friday night, dressed in overalls. Very interesting. I just got to make this point. Very interesting, because Alabama Mike was dressed in red, white, and blue overalls, striped overalls, and he was up there singing his heart out. They actually called me up on stage. I was shocked. They called me up on stage to and took a picture. It was really, really nice. I don't know if we'll ever see the picture, but he did take a picture, and they'll probably be putting it out, and I'll be sure to grab it and share it. Skylar Softly was there too, and what a talent he was. But it was interesting to get back to my point. My point is he was wearing red, white, and blue overalls. Now, the next day, for the hot dog eating contest, I guess this is where this came from. I didn't actually see the hot dog eating contest, and I'm sorry I don't have the information available on that. I could, but I don't. But I see Mayor Brandon Smith in cutoff overalls waving the flag after the rain came in on Saturday. I thought that was pretty cool. The rain is over. You may return to your post. It was a pretty funny pose. But I thought it was so interesting. Alabama Mike is wearing red, white, and blue overalls, and they were pretty fun. And he had a red, white, and blue hat on, just fun stuff. And then I see on the next day, I see Mayor Brandon Smith running around with shorts, overalls, red, white, and blue, waving the flag. That was a moment that will be burned in my head forever, Brandon. Just FYI, I will not remember that. I will not forget that. He's worn so many different outfits when it comes to being over the hot dog contest, but this one, I mean, you know, one year he was Elvis. I mean, he's done all kinds of things, but this one, Brandon, this one takes the cake. So from that standpoint, that was so much fun type things happening. The stand-up basses that were there, I thought that was pretty cool and unusual. I was at, where was I at? Next door down there. I didn't think I was going to get to meet Baracom, the Zydeco band. Last name was Baracom. I just thought he should have his name as his .com, since the last three letters of his name are C-O-M, Baracom. He came up to me and he goes, Ann, you didn't make it over to see me, but I wanted to come up and meet you. I thought that was pretty cool because I had actually really looked forward to seeing him. And I said, yeah, I was looking forward to playing the triangle. But everybody out having a great time. That's what was important. The closing off of the streets, being able to walk wherever on the streets, that is a big thing. To see people when I was leaving out of there Saturday night, they were still serving some barbecue. Some of the vendors were still open. People were just still out there having a good time. Even the fact that they had to stop the music on the main stage several times because of the rain and the lightning. It wasn't the rain, it was more the lightning. Really didn't seem to faze anybody. It was just people getting together and having a good time. Yes, it was hot, but thank goodness we had some rain to cool it down. And to drive down Main Street, uptown Greenwood, and see nothing there but a couple of tents, you hardly would know that the Festival of Discovery and Blues Cruise had been there. So, as usual, my shout out to all of the city employees, CPW, sanitation, all of you that work so hard. And I know you have to volunteer work during this week, and you all came together and made it happen again. So kudos to each and every one of you. Thank you for all that you do to make this a terrific festival. Local Focal, always doing great. Having some of the artists that you had there. Marvin King was there. I got there too late to see Marvin, but the good thing is it will be on a Facebook Live, so it should be on their Local Focal stage. But all the other artists that played, Audrey Adams, Pope and Bert were closing it down Saturday night. What energy, what excitement. It's just great to see that people can come together and have a good time. It's part of what life is all about, I think. Coming together, seeing friends, meeting new friends, seeing people that say, I listen to you. He's like, oh, okay. That's part of my life, and I love it very, very much. I think that the thing that reminds me when I think back over the weekend, this weekend reminded me of something. We spent a lot of time looking at what's different about people. Maybe we ought to spend more time looking about what they can do. And that is truly true. So many people can do so much more than what they're given credit for. We see that every day at Burton Center. We see that in Special Olympics. We see that in so many different ways where people who have, they call them disabilities, but really it just makes them have special abilities where they can do things and compensate and overcome and do things a lot better sometimes than those of us that have all our abilities, but choose not to expand them to the biggest point. Anyways, meeting the cartoonist who's going to come on the show. Maybe I'll get him to draw a cartoon of Penny. Maybe that would be pretty cool. But anyways, he's going to be coming on. Liz Pennock with her hands all gnarled up. There's so many stories to tell out there, and part of my job, I feel, is to try to gather these stories and share them with you, and that's what I love to do. So let's see. I had a quote here. Where is this quote? This is from Morgan Freeman. I think I gave it the other day. He says, "I always tell my kids, if you lay down, people will step over you. But if you keep scrambling, if you keep going, somebody will always give you a hand, always. But you've got to keep dancing. You've got to keep your feet moving." And of course, that is the idea that don't give up. Stand up. If you can't stand up, sit up. Do what you can do, and people will always be more than willing to help. And that's what Greenwood, South Carolina is. It's about helping. I just want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to be quiet. What has been happening this summer, and this is a topic for another day, with the different camps concentrating on our youth. Mario Norman, Call Me Mister, and so many other programs. The Boys and Girls Club have been doing a camp over there. The Y camp, the YMCA camp. What a tremendous camp. And the fact that they have actually been able to, through grants and personal help by people in our community, they have been able to have the kids back under the pines, back in the back there, doing their daily camp. And these are things that we should be very proud of. To see these kids out there, Mario has been posting videos about some of the activities they've been doing with the kids, and how he has to keep working hard to, I'll say, stay ahead of them, but keeping them enthused with the idea that they too can do it. Hoot Henderson and his group demanding that these kids stand up and do what is right. These are the things that can make a difference in our community, and I applaud all of them, to try to stand up and do something with our youth, make a difference, let them see that there is another path for life. So, thanks for the memories. What do you say, Penny? Are we going to have breakfast anytime soon? Okay. Yes, we are going to have breakfast anytime soon. Did want to tell you, I got a message. I got a couple of messages here. I should probably try to tell you what is going on. Number one, the Republican Party will be meeting this evening. They are looking for input. We'll meet at Howard's upstairs to gather ideas from all places to meet at no charge, program speakers, fundraisers, etc. Hope that you will go out there this evening and check that out. They are a big tent party. They want you to be involved with them. You can come to the meeting, see what you think, take it from there. That is tonight at, is it 6 o'clock, I believe? Is it 6 or 6:30? 6 p.m. at Howard's upstairs. So that is another opportunity. Oh, what else did I have here for you? I know I had something else. Had a couple other things. I wanted to talk about Post 20. I don't think they have a game tonight, but they have one tomorrow night. They are down to the playoffs. Hard to believe. Summer is over. Kids go back to school on the 22nd. So that's another thing going on. But, okay. But, Post 20, I think they have an away game. Is it tonight? And tomorrow night's game is here. I'll be sure to have that for you tomorrow. So, that's, what else? I had some other things. Oh, tomorrow is Cow Day. It's Cow Appreciation Day tomorrow. How could I forget this? Cow Appreciation Day tomorrow. So, Chick-fil-A will be doing something special for that. I don't seem to see it right here on my notes, but I do believe they are doing something special. I know I saw that. That is tomorrow at Chick-fil-A. We'll be sure to have the details. I can remember some people dressing up like cows on this date. That used to be kind of fun. I don't know what you have to do, but I know you have to do something. Also, coming up on Thursday, it is Veterans Appreciation Day, July 16th at the Veterans Center. For veterans and their families, it is from 11 to 2. Enjoy free light lunch, door prizes, and vendor giveaways. So they would love to see your face right there at the Uptown at the Veterans Center on Thursday. By the way, I want to do another big shout out to our Greenwood Sanitation Department. I'm sure that... I don't know, but I am sure that they are looking forward to having breakfast for a bunch after all the work they've been through and continue to do every day, because they got breakfast for a bunch from Chick-fil-A and WCRS. So that's another good thing that we're doing. We will be giving away another breakfast for a bunch. If you know a business, a nonprofit, a group that works hard doing things for our community, and you think they could use a little recognition? Is that right, Penny? A little recognition? Penny says, well, let us know so that we can make sure they get their name in the pot to get recognized during this promotion that we are running with Chick-fil-A. So 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355. Send me a message. Tell me who this group is. And if you're part of the group, that's one thing. You can do that if you're part of the group. If you're not part of the group, you can recommend a group that you think is deserving. We've gotten some great entries. We've had a lot of fun with this one. So please let me know. 864-332-9355. You can text it or give us a call. Either way, we would love to have that. So that's a few of the things that are going on. I did want to remind you today is... let's see, tomorrow is their big days. It's National Cow Appreciation Day, and I'll leave you with this thought. Tomorrow is also National Nude Day. I'm not making any further comments. Tomorrow is National Nude Day. Look out, but look for the cow too. Hey, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. Always my pleasure to be with you. Have a question or a comment, you can post it right here on our Facebook page live where we are right now. Thank you, Steph, and all that commented here this morning. Let's keep our hearts and prayers for Senator Lindsey Graham's family and close friends. And let's get ready, folks. It's going to be a doozy when we see how this shapes up on the race for Lindsey Graham's Senate seat. One thing we can always say is Lindsey Graham was the senator from South Carolina. I'm Ann Eller. That'll do it for us. What shall we do, Penny? Drop the curtain. Okay, I've dropped the curtain. Cue the music. Okay, I'll cue the music. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.